Hello, welcome to the Redmen TV. I'm joined for the opposition preview by Rory, Jennings from that there Chelsea channel, you know what I mean? You'll know the one. It's the one that we don't like as Liverpool fans. But Rory and Sophie, you know, I've met them a lot, and Rory is genuinely one of the nice guys on YouTube. So first of all, Rory, thank you so much for joining me, mate.
Mate, it's an honour. Thank you for having us on.
Right, well, let's get straight into it then. Liverpool face off against Chelsea at Anfield in the Carabao Cup, third round, Wednesday night. It's been a great start to life under Sarri for you guys. Did you expect to have this good a start?
No, absolutely not. I think he's done a wonderful thing coming in, and we've looked good. And there's a lot to be positive about. However, what happened against West Ham on the weekend really does signify what can happen if things don't go exactly to plan. And if Eden Hazard, which has happened all season, if Eden Hazard doesn't have the game of his life, we struggle. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'm not quite sure how we're going to cope with, when teams work out how to deal with him.
What are the main difference between Sarri ball and Conte ball for excuse the expression, like?
Well, it's completely different, actually. What Sarri does play out from the back. It's a very expansive game, and it's all about ball retention, knocking the ball around, keeping it moving. And that seems to be a style of football that has a lot of people very happy. It's very tiki-taka, but I don't necessarily subscribe to that. For me, tiki-taka, it's give and go, isn't it? It's quite exciting, but I find a lot of pleasure in a 50-50 challenge or, a goal-mouth scramble. That isn't the game the way we play it at all. It's very, very expansive, ball retention, and doing our best to score the perfect goal. Conte wasn't like that. Conte was built on a solid defence and a brilliant striker. It was kind of be solid at the back, be solid at the back, be creative in the middle with Fabregas, and let Diego Costa do the rest.
Is that something that you've struggled with Sarri, is not having that main guy that you can sort of think, well, you can hang your hat on to score maybe 30 goals a season, something like that?
Oh, 30. I mean, we can't hang our hat on anyone to score 10, mate. This is where I think it's going to come crashing down for us, because I just can't see where the goals are going to come from in this team. In Alvaro Morata, we have a player who I'm really struggling with. In fact, I put a tweet out on my Twitter account, and I said I was watching the Paris Saint-Germain game against Liverpool, and I said I saw Firmino play, and I said Roberto Firmino is everything that I want Alvaro Morata to be. And I got a lot of grief from Chelsea fans, as you can imagine, but I stand by it. It's true, and Alvaro Morata is just not up to the challenge of the Premier League so far. I hope to be proved wrong, but it's not looking good. Olivier Giroud is a wonderful football player and arguably the best back-to-goal striker in world football. But again, the goals aren't coming. We have a brilliant midfield, very, very gifted midfield of Jorginho, Kovacic and N'Golo Kante. But in terms of goal scoring, that is not Lampard, Ballack, Essien, is it? So that's a big worry for me, the goal scoring. And I'm not quite sure how we're going to cope. I don't quite know. I don't know what the answer is.
I've got a quote here on my phone from an article I read the other day about Chelsea. I didn't watch the game at the weekend, but it was something that I've noticed probably from Liverpool under Brendan Rodgers more than anything else, Rory. I'm just going to grab it for you now, mate. And this is talking about Jorginho. So I want to talk about Jorginho because he's a player that Liverpool were linked with for a long time before you snatched him from our clutches. He's a wonderful footballer. He is almost the perfect pivot in the Sarri system, isn't he? But this sort of... I was thinking I'm going to have a chat with Rory. I want to bring this up. Okay, here we go. 5 victories before this 0-0 draw had been marked by some glimpses of Sarri ball. The promised fast transitions and blitz attack, but this was instead Jorginho ball, and this is obviously talking about the game at the weekend. Yeah. With the feeling by the end of having spent an entire game watching somebody knitting a jumper, incubating an egg, or whittling a stick. And perfect. I love Jorginho. I think he's an incredible player, but sometimes, we sat through this under Brendan Rodgers. Sometimes there's just no end product to these type of teams sometimes.
I completely agree. I completely agree with you, Chris. And the thing is, I sometimes feel that I'm generationally a bit wrong, because when I say these things, what I'm about to say to you now, people go to me, they have a go at me. They think I'm not like a football purist. But there seems to be this thing now, a culture in football, particularly in like the world in which we operate, where that kind of thing is really celebrated. You know, players who look after the ball, players who never give it away. And somebody said to me, Jorginho made 160 passes against West Ham, which was actually more than the West Ham team, apparently.
He broke the record, didn't he?
I don't care. Why are we talking about, like, did he score a goal? No. Did he make any chances? No. He's literally knocking the ball 2 or 3 yards 160 times in the game. And if you were to, genuinely, if you were to kind of put together all of those passes in terms of the amount of distance covered, it's probably about 90 yards. Like, I rate him as a player. I understand the value of a player in the system to do that, but the celebration of that sort of football player isn't really for me. I like the electric player, the flair player. Your front three excites me. That is what I like in a footballer. And this kind of very patient, very crafted dream of scoring the perfect goal that will be worked with, Jorginho laying it off to Kovacic, who will beat one, lay it back to Jorginho. It's very, very. It can be weirdly. It can actually be quite boring, which isn't something that is often said. Mourinho is labelled as being boring. Antonio Conte was boring. Sarri was never boring. But this system, it's beautiful to watch at times, but it can also be very laboured.
Well, how has N'Golo Kante sort of adapted his game to fit in that midfield? Because obviously he was nominally playing as the 6 for the most part of his Chelsea career, certainly did that at Leicester. It seems to be like, just watching from the outside, that he's now playing the 8. He's got the attributes to be able to do that. Has it tempered his game in any way?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, N'Golo Kante is the best midfielder at the club. That is 100% the case. However, the role that we're asking him to play at the moment just doesn't make any sense. We're asking him to play effectively the Frank Lampard role. Mm-hmm. We're asking him to be the player, to arrive in the box late, to be on the end of crosses, to be finding space in the box and knocking it in. And that's not his game. He's a very gifted football player, and therefore he can turn his hand to almost anything. I'm sure he'd have a good game at right back if you asked him to do that. But it's not his skill set. And what we're effectively asking him to do now is be the most forward-thinking of our midfield trio. And it doesn't make sense. And the trouble is, he's never going to get in ahead of Jorginho in that register position. I think Kovacic is always going to be a better ball carrier than him, and therefore he's not going to get in that position. So to accommodate Kante, you need to play him further forward, which to me doesn't make any sense. I would play him in his natural position and let the entire midfield work around him. But that's not going to happen. So yeah, we're not currently getting the best out of Kante, and therefore we're not getting the best out of our midfield because our best midfielder is being asked to do a job that doesn't come naturally to him. It's a bit worrying for me, actually.
You've surprised me, actually, Rory. I thought we were going to have this conversation. Obviously, you think ahead to how people might answer your questions and stuff, and this happens sometimes when I talk to fans of opposition teams, and I felt like you'd be like, oh yeah, you know what, we're flying, the football's great and all that type of thing. So to hear you say this...
No, it's not quite. Look, I'm very happy with our position in the table, and I'm very happy with the style of football that we've been playing for the majority of the time. However, it could all be very different. We got very lucky away at Newcastle. We did well, and I think it's a hallmark of champions to nick a result. Like the home side got back in the game, made it 1-1 late. We went and nicked a 2-1, but that could have gone differently. Against Arsenal, Chris, mate, they should have scored 5 goals in the first half.
I saw that game, yeah. It was Aubameyang just kept missing sitters, didn't he?
Just couldn't believe it. And it was sitter after sitter. You think at some point something's got to change here, because we'll play a side with a very gifted front line. See where this is going? Hopefully. Who are going to potentially make us pay for it. And that's why I've got a lot of trepidation about our double-header coming up.
So let's focus on the first game, the Carabao, first and foremost. Yeah. Do you think this is a competition that Sarri's going to take seriously? I mean, in the past, I remember back to Mourinho taking this competition with Chelsea very, very seriously. Do you think Sarri will do that, or do you think he might play a weakened side?
I really do, yeah. I really think we'll take it seriously. It's a competition that I think we should take seriously as well. I personally, I'm not having to dig at anyone here, but I find it very disingenuous when people don't value trophies. When people have a sneery attitude to certain trophies, I really don't understand it.
That's me.
Do you? Do you?
This one.
Do you do that?
This one, yeah.
Do you? Right, yeah. That's not for me at all. I take only joy in any silverware, and I suppose the part of the reason that I think you're pretty typical as a Liverpool fan, and I can arguably be pretty typical as a Chelsea fan. I think the reason that you would perhaps have a slightly sneery attitude and I wouldn't is because during our formative years, you were used to watching Liverpool win silverware, and Chelsea went 25 years without a trophy. So any silverware now is something that I'm incredibly hungry for. Whereas, when you were a kid, you were watching Liverpool win the league, so you could pick and choose.
Yeah,
so,
maybe that's right. I just think that the game's changed so much now, and listen, don't get me wrong, the likes of Alan Hansen, Graham Souness, they won League Cups on the way to winning doubles and all that type of stuff, but that was when the European Cup was about 6 games. I think now, the European Cup is...
But do you not just love a trip to Wembley in February? Do you not just love
Absolutely.
that?
I really do, and I think once I get to the semi-final stage, I'm all in on the competition, but the pessimist and maybe the realist in me says that January when the two-legged semi-final comes along and the FA Cup starts up and you're just about to gear up, hopefully, for knockout football in February in the Champions League is when teams start to struggle. And 2 years ago, we massively struggled when we had games against Southampton, a replay against Exeter, and our league season fell apart. And I just wonder whether Liverpool have got Liverpool squad is the best it's ever been in my lifetime, I believe. But is it good enough to go in 3-4 competitions and go deep? I'm not sure. And I genuinely think we've got a really good chance at silverware this season. And if it all came tumbling down because of a two-legged semi-final for the Carabao, I'd be gutted.
Do you know what? That's a really rational way to look at it. And obviously, when you analyse it like that and look at it through that prism, you're completely correct. I find it very difficult to be that rational about it, though. I just think a trip to Wembley, generally, if you do win that competition, the amount of sides that will win that competition in February and then lift another trophy subsequently, it's quite high. And I suppose under this current Chelsea team, I don't think that we are going to be good enough to win the league. This is a great chance of silverware for us, and therefore I'm desperate to win it. Of course, the league game means more unless you win the Carabao Cup. Then So I value all trophies, and I'm quite proud of Chelsea's record in cup competition because we always have taken them seriously. It's kind of a club thing where we've never adopted the Arsene Wenger policy of playing only the kids or whatever. We've always looked at this trophy and respected it, and I feel the same. And if we can get to February and be on the way to Wembley, I'll be over the moon with that.
Okay, so what do you think the formation and the side that Sarri will put out will be against Liverpool on Wednesday?
I think it will be relatively strong. I think we saw we played a game in Greece. We played PAOK Salonika over in Greece last week, and he didn't really rotate, and arguably that did have a detrimental effect to what happened to us in the Premier League game against West Ham. We made a few changes, but the style of play will be the same. The formation will be the same. I think we'll see certain players rested. If there's a possibility to rest, an ever-present, I imagine David Luiz, for example, won't play, and Andreas Christensen will play. Who's an excellent player, by the way. I don't know how well or how much you know about him.
No.
He's a class act. I mean, he really is a class act. I don't subscribe to this, but there's a lot of Chelsea fans who think he should displace David Luiz in the starting 11 for Premier League games as well. So I imagine he'll play. I think Azpilicueta will be rested and Victor Moses could come in. I think Cesc Fabregas will play. I think Olivier Giroud will be rested and Alvaro Morata will play, which is effectively saying that Alvaro Morata is now our second choice striker, which feels very weird actually. And I don't think we'll see Eden Hazard. Okay. But apart from that, I think it will be pretty strong. I really do. I think the midfield. I think Ross Barkley will probably play. I think Fabregas will play, but then it will be one of the three. So probably N'Golo Kante.
Okay. Here's something I was thinking about yesterday, Rory. I was thinking about if he makes changes, and some of these lads that you've mentioned, have they been getting game time so far this season already?
No, we haven't really been making use of our squad at all. It's been a very stable first 11. So players like Ross Barkley and that haven't been quite getting the game time that perhaps they deserve.
It got me thinking about if Liverpool were to play a weakened side and let's say Chelsea play a slightly weakened side, I think that might be advantage Liverpool just from the fact that our sort of fringe players, whatever you want to call them, are used to the style of play that Klopp wants. And I wonder whether if you're bringing in lads who from the cold almost who haven't been getting those minutes in that Sarri system, I wonder if that does play into our hands. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, I think that's very possible. Our second string is also quite good.
Yeah.
There's also there's some very exciting young players about. So somebody like Ethan Ampadu could get some game time, and I really hope he does. But yeah, I think whatever way we boil this down, whether we go first string or second string, I think the fact that the game's at Anfield and the fact that you're playing the way that you are currently playing and you've got Jurgen Klopp in charge, I think it's advantage Liverpool whatever spin we put on it. I think it's you are the favourite to go through here. But equally, I do think there's enough in this Chelsea squad to perhaps cause you some problems. And if we get it right on the night, maybe.
Okay. What about score prediction then?
As long as it doesn't go to extra time, I'll be.
There isn't any extra time in this. It goes straight to pens, doesn't it? I think.
Oh, of course it does. Yeah, of course it does. I'm going to go for a Chelsea win just out of sheer blind optimism.
Cool.
And I'm going to go 2-1 Chelsea.
Okay, brilliant. Listen, let us know your thoughts on anything Rory said in the comment section below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Redmen TV on YouTube, and don't forget to check out Chelsea Fans channel where I'll be joining Rory for the Liverpool preview. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Ta-ra.